It's Ash from Elite Motorhomes on another YouTube tutorial. Today we've got a 2021 Chausson VIP meaning Fiat 630. 630 is a 2 single drop down electric bed system. So what I'm going to show you today is just a basic handover tutorial of how to use the 630. So to start with, the Fiat entry is different to my last video on the 640. I showed you how to pop the bonnet on the last Ford one. This one has a different way, so come with me, I'll show you. So on the near side door, passenger door, you can see there's a bonnet release catch. Give that a little click, you can hear it click, and we're put round to the bonnet. Underneath here, there's a little tab, and you just release the tab like so. Pop your hold up, and I'm just going to show you a couple of basics underneath the Fiat engine. So we start with jump points, because sometimes your engine battery does go flat. So on a Fiat, you have a positive terminal. It's located down in here. To get into there, you need your Fiat key. You need to pop it in like so and lean it towards the little flap. That will pop up your positive terminal, and you can clip on your positive terminal there. The other one says only for jump start. This is your earth point, so your negative point. So positive, negative, you should be able to get yourself underway. I just want to show you another basic bit, which is your oil dipstick. That is just located there. Obviously your oil fill up point. We've got your various coolants, which here at Elite Motorhomes we'll make sure they're all topped up for you prior to buying or servicing. This is normally a little bit more awkward. This is your windscreen wiper fluid, and it does have a little internal sleeve to it for easy filling. And then you can just pop that back and pop the little tab onto the top. If you need any more information underneath the bonnet, do get in touch. But that is just a basic overview of a Fiat bonnet. This is a 2.3 litre. This particular one's 150 brake horsepower, so it's quite a substantial engine to it. They run like a dream. This particular one is an automatic. This is a new 9-speed automatic gearbox, but I'll show you that when we get inside the vehicle. So similar to the Ford 2 litre, this Fiat 2.3 has the AdBlue feature to it. AdBlue, again, just to refresh, AdBlue is a something which dilutes the emissions coming out the back of the engine of the exhaust. So this will come up on your trip computer saying you have X amount of miles, please fill up then. Do not fill up prior to that because these have a shelf life on them, so they don't want to be mixed with the old and the new. So just make sure, as and when the trip computer tells you to fill it up, please do so. You might notice that I opened this door up by itself on the Ford, so you need to access it via the door, whereas this has a lock entry onto the diesel fill cap. So you will need your keys every single time you want to fill up your diesel. Let's show you a little bit more. So standard on this particular model comes with an outside cold feed shower point. It's just a clip-on function. Clip it on, and there is a gun trigger on the end of a shower hose. That's fed from the fresh water tank, which we will be getting around to. You have your water boiler lives in behind here. This is your exhaust for your water boiler. We have it off because we've got the system running at present, but this will need, for winterization, or if you're not using it, the cover to it. We tend to leave the covers just for easy access on the outside, on the inside of the passenger door, and that will just locate straight onto the top like that. I'll pop that back in there. As we walk around, so you have your 240 volt electric lead in here. So this, if I disconnect it, is just a basic connection, 240. How to open it, you want to have it in that position, open it up, you feed the lid into the top, and then you push it until it clicks. The lever, you might see, just popped up then. To release, push that lever down and pull out. It's obviously advisable, please don't drive off with them connected in. So this is called the outside locker. This is like a smart locker. They call it the Techni boxes in here. The smart bit is you've got the electric functions in here, being your car blade fuse box. You've got your trip switches, which you probably recognise from what you have in your house, and it also has the water function inside as well. So on the outside, you see there's a blue tab. Anything with a blue tab means fresh. Anything with a black tab normally means a waste outlet. So to fill up the unit, most Chaussons are a very similar way to fill up. You take the lid off, this is a hose pipe entry into it. If you push it in far enough, it will hold it for you. This has a 100-litre water tank on it, so you can fill it up. Don't worry, you won't overfill it. There is an overfill system to it, so it will just drain underneath the van if you overfill by accident. The two ways to drain the fresh water tank is, pop that in. We have on the brown toggle just on the inside there, that's called a travel drain. So you can lift that up and the water will drain underneath. That will reduce the tank to 20%, which ironically is 20 litres on this model. So the black outlet, so underneath the van directly you have two pipes which run like that. You have an overflow pipe, which is always a little bit more towards the centre of the van, and you have the drain valve, which is this side of the van. It's just a push fit 15mm socket which you just pull off. Not nice and simple on that one. It's like the plug of the bath. Make sure you drain that down. For the winterisation procedure, there's a few down. Remember, fresh water drain, that needs to be drained down for the winter, and then pop that socket back on, that 15mm. All you do is pop it straight back onto the pipe. Nice and easy. Do head round. So this particular model has a reversing camera from standard. That comes from the manufacturer. You have the reversing sensors. They're something which we've actually fitted on this unit as an aftermarket fit. You have a bike rack, so this will take Fiamma Pro C bike rack. So all the bike racks differ from the aperture from here to here, and the price point is always slightly different on them. The average price, you're looking around the £400 mark for a couple of bike racks on there. A little bit of food for thought there. So what we'll show you inside the garage area. So inside the garage area, what we have at present is you have two infill cushions there to make the bottom bed. This one has two electric beds which drop like that. If you put them to half height, you can make the lounge underneath into another double bed using these two cushions. It has a net system to it as well, which comes standard with the vehicle. If you are in that half height position, that you can feel comfortable that you can roll out of bed and drop from a height. Internally, we have a few panels in here. We have a 12-volt socket from standard. We have a 230-volt socket from standard. Just talking about this 230-volt socket, this will not work unless you're plugged into the side. This 12-volt socket will work if you're not plugged into the side, but what you're taking is 120 watts worth of electric. So whatever appliance needs to be compliant with that. Internally in here, you also have a internal light, which is great. Motors to keep their awning handles in here. This one is attached with a Dometic awning. You'll keep that intact. And yeah, you do have also tie down bolts. There's 4 within the vehicle if you pan into there. So if you ever want to put bikes in, because you've obviously got a very big locker door on the back of the Chausson, it is only 7 metres in length, but you do get a cracking storage area in the back of this one. Clicking it back in, like so, and on the locker itself, this is for every single locker. You can see that if you twist it one way to the other, lock, unlock and lock. So it needs to be into the landscape position for your lock to be locked. So let's move on to the toilet side of things. So the toilet itself is a Thetford toilet. A Thetford toilet, these are pretty standard within the industry. They have got little wheels, so you've got your little suitcase, so it's not too heavy, and it's very accessible for you. You can clip that back in like so. So just a couple of do's and don'ts on the top as well. You have a release valve, which is this button. So when you are going to direct the flow, you can push the button and then that will release. So you can get into the prime position rather than obviously getting it anywhere you didn't want it. So this is, if I show you within, it has blue chemical in at the moment, and this is what basically in the toilet system you open and close. This is the little valve which it uses to open and close it. if you ever need to get in and clean it, just do take off this, like I said. But when you do put it back on, again, remember arrow to arrow, because stupidly it does fit in the opposite way around. So make sure arrow to arrow, otherwise it won't work correctly. So how to fill it up, again, you do have a nozzle with a guide on the top as well, that you can see that's got the blue chemical in there already, and it does tell you how many Oz to use, and then obviously go by the bottle of what you're using. Pour that directly into the top and make sure you give it a bit of a shake round. Most disposable points on the campsite will have a hose pipe there as well, so it's advisable after you've tipped it all out, put some water in there, give it a good shake, clear it all out before you start again. It's a lot easier than it used to be with these systems. Another rule with this, when you do enter the cartridge back in, if you pan it down into here, that's not in correctly, but if I pop that down, that is now incorrectly. So the one bit you do want to remember is, after you've entered your cartridge, I'd always remind you to go back inside, open up the toilet itself, and just make sure that your valve is open and closing. If it doesn't open, don't yank it, come back out, the cartridge is not entered properly, then just pop back in. So you have two vents on the outside of here. These your fridge and freezer lives in behind here, so you've got gas piping in behind there. You can get winter covers for it. I'd probably say it's advisable to get winter covers for it when you're storing it for some time. You won't want any bugs to become home over the winter, because it's sheltered in there. So winter covers, like I said, are advisable. Again, you'll see this sticker, you see that on the opposite side, that was for the wastewater of the freshwater drain valve. This is the grey water, so anything which goes down the plug hole goes into a holding tank. The holding tank on this is underslung, and you have a little lever which you just pull to let go of and release the grey water. You can get an attachment on the top of that to direct the flow into a hedgerow or a cattle grid on the campsite. Let's move on to the gas bottle. So, gas bottle. We haven't got a gas bottle on at the moment because this is actually a sales vehicle. What we will do, we will use the pigtail, we will pop that in. What we do is we check the dates on the pipes itself, and we do gas test them as well. Gas spanner is highly advisable to keep in this locker. This one has a standard standard regulator, not a crash regulator on this one, so the gas bottle will need turning off every single time you travel. Our handover technician will always go through this and ensure that this is done, and you'll sign your gas safety record sheet as well. Make sure that's turned off prior to travel, and they are quite expensive, the bottles. I always highly advise, make sure as you're going around, lock all the lockers in behind yourself, including the toilet. So if you wanted to have a Kadak or an outside barbecue point, then this comes standard on this model. It's a bullfinch, it's just a clip-in connection to it. Again, you do need a little connector. Speak to one of the sales team, we'll be able to supply you with the right gas connector. So instead of having to go into your gas locker and connect in your Kadak or an outside heater, whatever it might be, directly to the bottle, that's fed to an outlet point there, just for your ease. So that's the basics of the outside. This model has an awning on the side as well. It's a little bit windy today, so I'm not going to be pulling the awning out, but let's head on inside and I'll show you the functions inside. And so we're now inside the motorhome. I'm just going to show you the basic functions. So if you come over to the 12-volt control panel, 12-volt control panel has 8 icons on, so you've got 8 buttons. In the top left, you turn the main master switch on, so this puts your 12-volt control panel on. To the right hand side, the illuminated blue here is for your interior lights, so that's the master switch for your interior lights. The next one has a little tap on it, so this is your water pump. If you want any water out of the system or out of any taps, whether that be the boiler or the freshwater tank, you activate it via that. This icon is for your outside light, so you can see the light is facing outwards. That is your awning light, so there's an LED strip lighting on the outside. That's how you turn that on. On the bottom you have like a little caravan icon. That caravan icon is actually your habitation battery level. Give that a click and that gives you a colour coded graph on where your battery level is sitting. Again, you've got a little vehicle on this one, so this shows you your vehicle battery level, which is all good, and we're all in the green on both. and this one has a water level. So as you can see, the water level gauge is on there. It has been particularly cold, so we've drained down the system. We've only put a tiny little bit of water in the system, but if this icon does come up, you are going to need to fill it up. So that shows you down the left hand side as well which one you are looking at, which is a nice indicator, and it also shows you that we are plugged in to 240 via that green light. So that's your basics of the 12 volt control panel. So this Webasto indicator, this model is powered by a diesel powered central heating system. So your air blown heating system will work off the diesel. So it's a diesel drip fed heater, so it's a minuscule amount of diesel. It's ever so easy on this model. You just turn the gauge to wherever you may want it. As long as you have a solid green light, it will activate. What you may notice in the van right now is the lights flicker. The lights will flicker slightly because the power is being generated to the Webasto heater, and it's being prioritised. So you'll get slight flickering, that's completely normal, and it will stabilise. So this, the nice privilege of the Webasto heater is you can actually drive along and have your heating going in the back while you're driving, and again it's very cost effective. A lot of motorhomes are gas or electric function, so you tend to have to arrive on site before you can turn your heating on. This model, very nice, easy, user friendly, and you can, as I said, you can drive along and have it going. It does get particularly quite warm in here, so you'll get used to what sort of level you want it. It doesn't have a thermostat, as in 22, 24 degrees on a digital reader, but you will get to know your vehicle. To the left hand side, you have two little rocker switches. The bottom one does the LED backsplash, so you'll see it all the way around the kitchen, underneath, and that's your LED light switches. And on the top one, these are for these little blue lights. You have one there, and that's indicating you've got a step here, and the other one is indicating you're stepping up into the bathroom area. Quite a frequently asked question on our handovers: what do those two rockers do? So let's make our way around to the fridge. This model, you get a separate fridge freezer, works really well. It's a three-way fridge function, three ways of being, as you can see on this icon, that is hookup. That will flash, that is your 12 volt driving battery, and that is your gas function. If I flick again, it goes to automatic. So if you leave it on A for automatic, it will automatically change from function to function. So for instance, if I go and turn the engine on, that will automatically change from the 240 volt hookup to the driving battery. If I flick to that now, the engine's not on, so it's flashing with a spanner saying something's not happening, something's not right. Okay, so if you get the spanner function, it's normally something, the input's wrong. That could happen on the gas as well. So we've got no gas bottle on, so any minute now that will start flashing and clicking, and it's saying, well, it's not getting a gas feed, so it won't like that function. But because we're on the 240 volt hookup, that's all good. Couple of rules with these fridge freezers. They take 4 hours to get to temperature, so it's advisable to turn your fridge and freezer on the night before you're going away. So if it's parked on the drive, go out there the night before and just switch your fridge on, so you've got it at the right temperature, so when you're loading your food into the fridge, you're not waiting for it to get up to temperature and it spoils. The other rule with it is the driving battery. The driving battery doesn't actually get these fridge freezer colder. What it does, it maintains the temperature as you're driving along. So we've had a couple of people say issues with that. So loud and clear that it's only to maintain the temperature, it's not to get your fridge or freezer cold. So get it to temperature, then drive on it, and your food will be all completely fine. So the last function on it is this last icon. If you give that a click, it comes up with that indication. And that is just a heat, but there's a heat layer which goes, so if it sticks because it's all frozen solid, it heats up around the outside seal, and it means that you can open up your freezer. Really good bit of kit, this fridge freezer, but yeah, nice and easy to use. So the bathroom and the bathroom system itself, you have the toilet, which is on a swivel top, and you would have heard me say earlier about this function. So I've entered the cartridge, so what I would need to do is come in and make sure the porthole opens and closes correctly. That means I've entered the cartridge correctly. So what you want to do is make sure anytime the toilet's in use, make sure the cartridge door is open. And the difference between your bathroom at home compared to this is you can't just push it and it does it for you. You push and hold, and then that will put the water into the system, close the porthole behind you. It does come up with a little red indicator when your cartridge is full and ready to be emptied. While I'm down here, there's a little rocker switch on the inside of this panel. This is your light switch. So a lot of people wonder where the light is. It is hidden away there. So this model, you have a separate toilet, separate shower, and you get a very good wardrobe system with pull-out drawers, and they are soft touch closing. Really nice bit of kit, some great storage space, and still underneath that 7 metre mark. Right, do head on down with me. I'm going to show you how to work the 2 electric bed system. So scatter cushions need to be moved out of the way, and the table needs to be in the right position for it to drop. You have underneath here, you have your 3 icons: bed 1, table, bed 2. So if I drop the table, it's sometimes on this model you will need to pull it up to the top and bottom, and if it goes up and down like so, it normally means that you need to reposition the table. There we go. Just needs to be in the right position to drop without rubbing on anything, and the table's set basically wet so you can drop it up and down. So once it's in position like so, the nice thing with this model is you don't have to remove the 2 cushions either side. The only thing to be mindful of, this does have a pull-up counter, so do make sure that the flap is closed on that. And again, I'm just going to activate the bed systems. I'm pushing both buttons at the same time, which work really, really well. It's a perfect single bed option without you disturbing the other your other half or partner or your friend. You've got really good easy access in and out, so as you can see it's well underneath my hip height to be able to jump on and off the bed. The nice thing is you can make your bed, pop it to the roof as well, so it means that you're not storing extra bedding and stuff. You do, they can be left, pop to the roof, and you're using the majority of this van. You're not going to find too many more open plan vans, and particularly with 2 single bed options coming in. So as I said, this is a 21 model. They discontinued this model in 22 just because of the production and COVID and everything, but it's back on the market for 23. Sort of price points we're looking at the moment, we're not too sure, but for one of these at the moment you'd probably be looking at late 70s. I should think they're going to be going to early 80s in 23. The next chance you're going to get to see one of these is probably going to be the October show in the NEC, the Motorhome and Caravan show, on the Chausson stand, where I'll be exhibiting on that stand as well. So if you are planning on going to the October 23 show, do pop over. I will be on the Chausson stand. So if I was to pop those to half height, I can pop the table up, pop that up, and what you do, you pop that like so. So actually this has a lever which comes out just to make sure there's a bit of weight bearing. You'll remember the 2 cushions which were in the back. What you would do, you would pop 1 cushion there, and the second cushion, half of it sits on here, and then there's 2 legs on the cushion. You open up and that supports this side. So actually you gain a really big double bed as and when you need it, or you can use the 2 singles. I'm around the 6 foot mark and I'm still sat under here more than comfortable. So even if you have kids in bed and you forfeited your lovely single beds, you would still be able to sit, have a conversation, have a table if the weather wasn't wasn't on your side. So really good model. It's one of their top sellers by far. So really pleased to see it back in 23. So I'm just going to pop them up. Pop that up, and again I'm going to close that table just like so, and I'm just going to pop that back up. Right, head on down. I'm going to show you where your boiler is located on this model. So, what we can do on here is open up the hatch. And in here, what you have is your Truba 12 litre boiler, which is a gas and electric function, which I will then go and show you how to turn the hot water on very shortly. I just want to show you the window. Move into the bathroom, and the bathroom system itself. You have the toilet, which is on a swivel top, and you would have heard me say earlier about this function. So I've entered the cartridge, so what I would need to do is come in and make sure the porthole opens and closes correctly. That means I've entered the cartridge correctly. So what you want to do is make sure anytime the toilet's in use, make sure the cartridge door is open. And the difference between your bathroom at home compared to this is you can't just push it and it does it for you. You push and hold, and then that will put the water into the system, close the porthole behind you. It does come up with a little red indicator when your cartridge is full and ready to be emptied. While I'm down here, there's a little rocker switch on the inside of this panel. This is your light switch. So a lot of people wonder where the light is. It is hidden away there. So in this model you have a separate toilet, separate shower, and you get a very good wardrobe system with pull-out drawers, and they are soft touch closing. Really nice bit of kit, some great storage space, and still underneath that 7 metre mark. Right, do head on down with me. I'm going to show you how to work the 2 electric bed system. So scatter cushions need to be moved out of the way, and the table needs to be in the right position for it to drop. You have underneath here, you have your 3 icons: bed 1, table, bed 2. So if I drop the table, it's sometimes on this model you will need to pull it up to the top and bottom, and if it goes up and down like so, it normally means that you need to reposition the table. There we go. Just needs to be in the right position to drop without rubbing on anything, and the table's set basically wet so you can drop it up and down. So once it's in position like so, the nice thing with this model is you don't have to remove the 2 cushions either side. The only thing to be mindful of, this does have a pull-up counter, so do make sure that the flap is closed on that. And again, I'm just going to activate the bed systems. I'm pushing both buttons at the same time, which work really well. It's a perfect single bed option without you disturbing the other your other half or partner or your friend. You've got really good easy access in and out, so as you can see it's well underneath my hip height to be able to jump on and off the bed. The nice thing is you can make your bed, pop it to the roof as well, so it means that you're not storing extra bedding and stuff. You do, they can be left, pop to the roof, and you're using the majority of this van. You're not going to find too many more open plan vans, and particularly with 2 single bed options coming in. So as I said, this is a 21 model. They discontinued this model in 22 just because of the production and COVID and everything, but it's back on the market for 23. Sort of price points we're looking at the moment, we're not too sure, but for one of these at the moment you'd probably be looking at late 70s. I should think they're going to be going to early 80s in 23. The next chance you're going to get to see one of these is probably going to be the October show in the NEC, the Motorhome and Caravan show, on the Chausson stand, where I'll be exhibiting on that stand as well. So if you are planning on going to the October 23 show, do pop over. I will be on the Chausson stand. So if I was to pop those to half height, I can pop the table up, pop that up, and what you do, you pop that like so. So actually this has a lever which comes out just to make sure there's a bit of weight there in. You'll remember the two cushions which were in the back. What you would do, you would pop one cushion there, and the second cushion, half of it sits on here, and then there's two legs on the cushion. You open up and that supports this side. So actually you gain a really big double bed, as and when you need it, or you can use the two singles. I'm around the 6 foot mark and I'm still sat under here more than comfortable. So even if you had kids in bed and you forfeited your lovely single beds, you would still be able to sit, have a conversation, have a table if the weather wasn't on your side. So really good model. It's one of their top sellers by far. So really pleased to see it back in 23. So I'm just going to pop them up. Pop that up, and again I'm going to close that table just like so, and I'm just going to pop that back up. Right, head on down. I'm going to show you where your boiler is located on this model. So, what we can do on here is open up the hatch. And in here, what you have is your Truba 12 litre boiler, which is a gas and electric function, which I will then go and show you how to turn the hot water on very shortly. So, a little overview about the Fiat cab. So this Fiat cab is a 9-speed automatic gearbox. It's got a torque converter to be able to smooth the gears as it interchanges gears for you. It has an XM radio head unit on it. We do have an aircon function to the front as well, which is really good. A little bit about the XM unit. It's a built-in camper nav function. It's got DAB, Bluetooth, and a sat nav all built into the head unit itself, and this is actually where your reversing camera goes through, so that can just see right down the back of your rear bonnet to see when you're reversing. The nice thing is when you select the reverse gear, so if you want to select any gears, you need to have your foot onto the brake, but it will automatically go onto the head unit. The nice bit about this one is if you put into the drive function, you can actually drive it in manual by popping it over, and you can go up or down the gears manually, and that's back up into park. Obviously you've got your hazard lights there. It does have cruise control and speed limited cruise control, and then that does come up onto your trip computer itself as well. Basic indicators, turning your lights on, your windscreen wiper, and that fluid which I showed you how to fill up earlier. It does have Remis cab blinds on this, so they go over, the other side comes over, and they meet in the middle via a magnetic strip. The nice thing is they do also have the cab blinds, which are both there, so you're able to close off the whole cab as and when you want to. So all of the window blinds do have a fly blind and a blackout blind for your convenience. But this is a basic overview of a Chausson VIP 630 automatic. So hope you enjoyed the video, and stay tuned, there will be more coming. Thanks again.